The way we build our entire world, our homes, our cities, our factories, it's all going through this quiet but incredibly powerful revolution. And it's a revolution being framed in steel. I mean, just look at that. You can almost feel the strength, right? The incredible precision. This is not your typical, messy, unpredictable construction site. No, this is the literal skeleton of a modern building, and it's a masterpiece of engineering where every single piece fits perfectly. So let me ask you this. What if putting up a massive skyscraper was less about chaos and more like a high-tech assembly line? Like they build cars. That is the exact idea we're going to dig into today, taking precision manufacturing and applying it to the world of construction. And here's how we're going to break it all down. First, we'll get into the 4 huge advantages of steel. Then, we'll see the wild range of stuff you can build with this method. After that, we'll look at exactly how it's done, from start to finish. And finally, we'll hit you with the hard data that proves this is the real deal. All right, let's kick things off with the big why. I mean, why is this technology taking off like a rocket? Well, it really all boils down to 4 foundational benefits. I like to call them the 4 pillars of steel. And here they are. We're talking about precision, performance, sustainability, and savings. Now look, any one of these is a total game changer on its own. But when you put them all together, it's a fundamental shift in how we think about building. First up, precision. And the biggest deal here is moving construction indoors. When you build the components in a controlled factory setting, guess what? Weather delays? Gone. Everything is engineered to the millimeter, which slashes on-site waste by a massive 75%. It also guarantees a level of quality that's just, well, it's nearly impossible to get out in the mud and the rain. Next up is performance. The key thing to get here is steel's incredible strength-to-weight ratio. Basically, it's super strong, but surprisingly light. This lets architects go wild, designing buildings with these huge, open, column-free spaces. Think giant factory floors or stunning modern homes. It also means you need less of a foundation. And, of course, steel doesn't care about termites or rot. And then there's the green angle, sustainability. This one is huge. Steel is the most recycled building material on the entire planet. You can melt it down and reuse it over and over again, and it never loses its strength. We can even design buildings to be taken apart and put back together somewhere else. That's a massive step towards a truly circular economy in construction. And finally, let's talk about the thing everybody cares about, the bottom line, savings. Because these projects go up so much faster, you save a ton on things like loan interest. For a business, that means you're open and making money way sooner. Factor in needing less labor on site, and you're looking at total project savings of up to 30%. That's serious cash. Okay, so we know why this is all so powerful. Now let's get to the fun part. What can you actually build with it? And the answer is, well, it's pretty much anything you can dream up. I mean, just look at this range. For factories, you can have wide open spaces, up to 40 meters with no columns in the way. For warehouses, you can build super tall, up to 18 meters, and cut energy use by 40%. We're talking industrial plants strong enough to hold 50-ton cranes. And it's not just for big industry. For homes and villas, it lets architects create those incredible cantilever designs that seem to just float in midair.
Let's zoom in on a perfect example that affects so many of us, apartment buildings. You can see right here how these pre-made engineered units can be stacked together so efficiently. It creates this incredibly strong and consistent skeleton that you can then wrap in any material you want to get whatever look you're going for.
And the performance numbers are just wild. These buildings can be built to handle major earthquakes. They've got fantastic sound insulation, 55 decibels. That means you don't have to listen to your neighbor's TV all night. But here's the number that developers love, a 40% speed advantage. That means getting people into their new homes that much faster. So we've covered the why and the what. Now for the really cool part, the how. How in the world do these incredibly complex structures come together so perfectly? It seems complicated, but it really boils down to this beautifully simple 3-step process. It all starts with digital design, then it moves to the controlled factory for fabrication, and it all ends with a super efficient assembly right on the site. And this is where it feels like we're living in the future. The whole thing starts as a 3D digital model, it's called BIM, that maps out every single beam, every bolt, every connection. Then, in the factory, Robots and computer-controlled machines cut and weld the steel with flawless accuracy. Finally, all those pieces are shipped to the site where crews follow a detailed step-by-step plan. Seriously, think of it like building with the world's most advanced, high-tech Lego set.
All right, we've gone through the ideas, the applications, and the process. For this last part, let's just let the numbers do the talking. This, right here, is the proof.
40 to 50%. Just let that sink in for a second. We're talking about cutting the entire construction timeline almost in half. For a business, that's opening your doors months ahead of schedule. For a city, that's delivering crucial infrastructure at a speed that can actually keep up with growth. 75%. That is the massive reduction in waste material on the construction site. Because everything is pre-cut perfectly in the factory, you basically eliminate all the scrap, the offcuts, and the general mess of a traditional site. It's just cleaner, safer, and so much better for the environment. And finally, up to 30%. That's the potential savings on the entire project cost. This is the payoff for everything we've talked about: building faster, building with less waste, and using labor more efficiently. It's the number that proves building better and smarter can also be a whole lot cheaper. So we'll leave you with this final thought. As our cities just keep growing and growing, and we absolutely have to build faster, smarter, and more sustainably, is building this way with steel just going to be another option? Or is it about to become an absolute necessity?